So, with a new study published in the journal last week, for the first time, researchers have been able to characterize some of the properties of Einsteinium. What is Einsteinium? Einsteinium, it was discovered in 1952 in the debris of the hydrogen bomb, first detonation of the hydrogen bomb, and the detonation was done by a thermonuclear device called IV mic. IV mic was detonated on the November 1, 1952 as a part of a test at a remote island location called Igloo Mab and in an atoll in southern Pacific. It is difficult to create, is a highly radioactive. The properties of Einsteinium are it is difficult to create and is highly radioactive. The most common isotope of the element Einsteinium 253, the most common isotope. So it is difficult to create and is highly radioactive. The most common isotope of the element Einsteinium 253. Einsteinium 253 is the most common isotope and has half-life of 20 days. Einsteinium 254 is one of the most stable isotopes of the element that has a half-life of 276 days. The element is also not visible to the naked eye, and after it was discovered, it took 9 years to manufacture enough of it so that it could be seen with the naked eye. Because of its high radioactivity and the short half-life of all Einsteinium isotopes, even if the element was present on the Earth during its formation, it has almost certainly decayed. And RT-PCR test, water RT-PCR test, and what it is and how it is done. Center asked the state to scale up the RT-PCR test and blood check. RT-PCR is how RT-PCR is used for detecting COVID-19. See, the causative agent of the COVID-19 is SARS-CoV-2 virus. It is an RNA virus. That means it infiltrates a healthy cell to multiply and survive. Thus, RT-PCR test is for the identification of the SARS-CoV-2 RNA. In this, the RNA is converted to DNA through a process called reverse transcription for detecting the virus. That is, RNA is converted to DNA through the process called reverse transcription for detecting the virus. Reverse transcription SARS-CoV-2 RNA for detecting the virus. How it is carried out? SARS-CoV-2 RNA is generally detectable in respiratory specimens during the acute phase of the infection. For that, upper and lower respiratory specimens such as nasal and nasopharyngeal are collected. This sample is treated with several chemical solutions that remove substances such as proteins and fats and extracts only RNA present in the sample. Real-time RT-PCR setup usually goes through 35 cycles, which means that by the end of the process, around 35 billion new copies of the sections of viral RNA are created from each strand of the virus present in the sample. As new copies of the viral RNA sections are built, the marker labels attach to the DNA strands and then release a fluorescent dye. See, as the new copies of the viral DNA sections are built, the marker labels attach to the DNA strands and then release a fluorescent dye, which is measured by the machine's computer and present in real time on the screen. The computer tracks the amount of fluorescence in the sample after each cycle. When the amount goes over a certain level of fluorescence, this confirms that the virus is present. So fluorescent dye is used and marker labels attached to the DNA strands are used. What is Stardust 1.0? The first rocket to run on the biofuel. Stardust 1.0 was launched from Maine, USA. It has become the first commercial space launch. First commercial space launch powered by biofuel. First commercial space launch powered by biofuel, which is non-toxic for the environment as opposed to the traditionally used rocket fuels. Stardust 1.0 is a launch vehicle suited for student and budget payloads. Any hydrocarbon fuel that is produced from the organic matter, living or once living material in a short period of time, days, weeks, or even months, is considered as a biofuel. Biofuel may be solid, liquid, or gaseous in nature. Solid biofuel is wood, dried plant material, and manure. Liquid biofuel is bioethanol, biodiesel, and gaseous biofuel is biogas. If you look at the biofuels, we have primary and secondary. Primary biofuels are firewood, wood chips, pellets, animal waste, forest crops, residues, landfill gas, and so on. In secondary biofuels, we have 3 generations are there. First generation biofuel, second generation biofuel, and third generation biofuel. In first generation biofuel, bioethanol or butanol by fermentation of starch, wheat, barley, corn, potato, sugars are used. Biodiesel from biodiesel from oil crops used cooking oil, animal fats, and so on. In second generation biofuels, biodiesel from the oil plants like jatropha, cassava, and miscanthus. See, jatropha is an oil plant, cassava is an oil plant, and miscanthus is an oil plant. Bioethanol or butanol, sugar or starch. Syndiesel produced from the lignocellulose materials. Lignocellulose materials are straw, wood, and grass are lignocellulose materials. Lignocellulose materials, straw, wood, grass, and so on. And third generation biofuels are from microalgae. Bioethanol from microalgae are seaweeds. See, bioethanol from microalgae or bioethanol from microalgae and seaweeds. Biohydrogen from the green microalgae and microbes. And also we have a square kilometer array. On 4th February, Square Kilometer Array Observatory Council (SKAO) Square Kilometer Array Observatory (SKAO) Council held its maiden meeting and approved the establishment of the world's largest radio telescope. SKAO, Square Kilometer Array Observatory, is a new intergovernmental organization dedicated to the radio astronomy and is headquartered in the UK. SKAO. At the moment, organizations from 10 countries are a part of the SKAO. These include Australia, Canada, New Zealand, China, India, Italy, Canada, South Africa, and Sweden, Netherlands, and UK. Unlike the optical telescope, radio telescopes can detect invisible gases, and therefore they can reveal areas of space that may be obscured by the cosmic dust. First radio signals were detected by the physicist Carl Jansky in 1930s. Radio signals were detected by the physicist Carl Jansky. So this is about the radio telescopes. We have SKA Central Region, 5 kilometer array, square kilometer array, space aperture areas, dense aperture areas, headquartered in the UK, 10 countries are there, and Arecibo telescope in the Puerto Rico. Arecibo telescope in the Puerto Rico, which was the second largest single dish radio telescope in the world, collapsed in 2020. The telescope was built in 1963. So the telescope was destroyed, and this telescope, SKAO, Square Kilometer Array Observatory Council, world's largest radio telescope. The telescope is proposed to be the largest radio telescope in the world, SKA. It will be located in the Africa in Australia, whose operation, maintenance, and construction will be seen by the SKO Council. The completion is expected to take nearly a decade with a cost of nearly 1.8 billion euros. And HOPE mission. HOPE is the UAE first mission to Mars. HOPE mission, the first Arab interplanetary mission, is expected to reach the Mars orbit on Tuesday in what is considered the most critical part of the journey to unravel the secrets of weather on the red planet. Which Arab interplanetary mission? First, HOPE mission, UAE. HOPE mission is a Mars orbiter spacecraft. And which will study the thin atmosphere of the Mars. Mission is officially named Emirates Mars mission, and the orbiter has been named HOPE. Orbiter has been named HOPE or Al-Amal. Mars orbiter mission or Al-Amal. It's the first interplanetary mission from the Arab world. The HOPE probe has a mission life of 1 Martian year, which is almost 2 Earth years. There are 3 main objectives of the HOPE probe: to understand the climate dynamics and the global weather map of Mars by studying the lower atmosphere of Mars, to explain how weather of Mars affects the escape of hydrogen and oxygen by correlating conditions in the lower and upper atmosphere. That is dynamics of the weather of Mars, that is lower atmosphere of Mars, and also to explain whether the Mars affects the escape of hydrogen and oxygen by correlating the conditions in the lower and upper atmosphere, to understand the presence and variability of the hydrogen and oxygen in the upper atmosphere, and why Mars is losing these gases to the space. Significance of the mission is that it is a known fact that the red planet was once habitable. From the signatures of flowing water and organic material known point to a past that could have supported living things. An understanding of Mars past could help scientists understand the future Earth. Understanding of the Mars past could help the scientists understand the future of the Earth. China's Tianwen-1 probe. China's Tianwen probe has successfully entered the orbit of Mars. China's Tianwen probe with respect to Mars has successfully entered the orbit around the Mars after a 6.5 month journey from the Earth. It is about the 3 months that the Tianwen-1 will attempt to send a landing capsule carrying 240 kg rover in a rapid 7-minute descent onto a massive plain in a northern hemisphere of Mars known as Utopia Planitia. Utopia Planitia is the northern hemisphere of Mars. Northern hemisphere of the Mars is called Utopia Planitia. Utopia Planitia. China Tianwen-1. China's first Mars probe is called Tianwen-1 or Huxong-1. Huxong-1 is also called Tianwen-1. The spacecraft consists of an orbiter, lander, and the rover. Launched last year on a Long March 5 rocket from China. Landing site is somewhere in Utopia Planitia, a vast plain in Mars' northern latitudes, and same place NASA's Viking 2 mission has been landed in 1970s. NASA Viking 2 mission also landed at the same place, Utopia Planitia, northern latitudes of Mars. NASA Viking 2 mission in 1970s. If the mission is successful, China will become the third country to achieve a Mars landing after the USSR and the USA. There are 5 core science objectives: create a geological map of Mars, explore the characteristics of the Martian soil and potentially locate the water ice deposits, analyze the surface material composition, investigate the Martian atmosphere and climate at the surface, and surface composition, water and Martian soil, geological map of Mars, investigate Martian atmosphere and climate, understand the electromagnetic and gravitational fields of the planet. These are the 5 core science objectives. ISRO announces one. Department of Space, along with the ISRO, comes with signed an MOU with the geospatial technology company CE Info Systems Private Limited. Geospatial technology CE Info Systems Private Limited. The collaboration will enable them to jointly identify and build a holistic geospatial portal using the Earth observation datasets like Navic, web services and API application programming interface available in the Map My India. The geospatial portals, like Map My India portals will be called the geospatial portals will be called Bhuvan, Vedas and Mosdaka. Bhuvan, National Geo Portal developed and hosted by the ISRO, comprising of geospatial data, services and tools for analysis. Vedas, visualization of the Earth observation data, and archival systems, is an online geoprocessing platform that uses optical, microwave and thermal and hyperspectral Earth observation data, covering applications particularly meant for academia, research and problem solving. And MOSDAC, Meteorological and Oceanographic Satellite Data Archival Center, is a data repository for all the meteorological missions of the ISRO and deals with weather-related information, oceanography and the tropical water cycles. Navic, Navigation with Indian Constellation, is an independent regional navigation satellite designed to provide position information in the Indian region and 1500 kilometers around the Indian mainland. So Bhuvan and Vedas, visualization of Earth observation data and archival system, and MOSDAC, Meteorological and Oceanographic Satellite Data Archival Center. Navic will provide 2 types of services: standard positioning services, which is provided to the all users, and restricted service, which is encrypted service provided only to the authorized users. In applications include terrestrial or aerial and marine navigation, disaster management, vehicle tracking and fleet management, integration with the mobile phones, precise timing and mapping and geodetic data capture, terrestrial navigation aid for hikers and travelers, visual and voice navigation for the drivers. How many satellites does the Navic consist of? Navigation with Indian Constellation consists of 8 IRNSS satellites, of which 1 provides messaging services. And 3 of these will be geostationary over the Indian Ocean. 3. Geostationary over the Indian Ocean. They will appear to be stationary in the sky over the region. And 4 will be geosynchronous, appearing at the same point in the sky at the same time every day. The configuration ensures such satellite will be tracked by at least one of the configuration ensures that each satellite is being tracked by at least one of the 14 ground stations. 14 ground stations are there at any given point of time, with a high chance of most of them being visible from any point in India. Why it is necessary to have an indigenous global navigation system? Having a global navigation system bolsters the ability of a nation to serve as a net security provider, especially through the guarantee of such assurance policies. It can also play a significant role in relief supports post disasters such as tsunami in the Indian Ocean in 2004, Indian Ocean tsunami in 2004, and Pakistan-India earthquake in 2005. NASA Perseverance. After 7 months journey from the Earth, NASA Perseverance is in final stretch towards destination of Mars. About the Perseverance rover, it's launched in 2020. Perseverance rover launched in 2020. It is expected to touch on the Mars at the Zero crater. The primary task of the Perseverance is to seek the signs of adjacent life and collect samples of rock and regolith to possibly return these to Earth. Perseverance is fueled by electric power using the heat of plutonium radioactive. What Perseverance is fueled by the electrical power using the plutonium radioactive decay. NASA Perseverance gets the shape memory alloys to remain steady on the surface of the Mars. That is, shape memory alloys to remain steady on the surface of the Mars. Armed with the drills, cameras, and lasers, Perseverance is set to explore the Mars. Why is the mission significant? Perseverance will carry a unique instrument called MOXIE, Mars Oxygen ISRO experiment, which for the first time will manufacture molecular oxygen on Mars using carbon dioxide from the carbon dioxide rich atmosphere. ISRO means in situ resource utilization, or the use of local resources to meet the human needs or requirements of the spacecraft. It will carry Ingenuity, the first ever helicopter to fly on the Mars. This is the first time NASA will fly a helicopter on another planet or satellite. Previous Mars missions by the NASA has been sending rovers on Mars since 1997, when the Mars Pathfinder mission was initiated. As the mission turned out to be successful, NASA decided to continue going to Mars to find the evidence. Second time the space organization sent twin rovers, Spirit and Opportunity. Twin rovers, what are the twin rovers? Spirit and Opportunity to Mars in 2003. Third attempt was sending Curiosity in 2012. 1997 Mars Pathfinder, 2003 twin rovers Spirit and Opportunity, and 2012 Curiosity mission. And ethanol as an alternative fuel. Government has been promoting the use of ethanol as an blended stock with main automotive fuel like petrol, in line with the national policy on biofuels 2018. Under the ethanol blended program, national policy on biofuels, that is, government has been promoting the use of ethanol as a blended stock with the main automotive fuel like petrol in the as per the national policy on biofuels 2018 under the ethanol blended petrol program. This policy envisages a target. What is the target? Blending of 20% of ethanol blending by 2030. Efforts by the government in this regard. What are the efforts? Government has allowed production of ethanol from the sugarcane and food grain based raw materials. Government has fixed X mil price of ethanol. From sugarcane based raw materials. Remunerative prices of ethanol produced from the different feedstock has been fixed. Remunerative prices, X mil price has been fixed. The government has notified interest subvention scheme has been notified, and for setting up of the molasses and grain based new distilleries or expansion of existing distilleries. Ethanol can be produced from the sugarcane, maize, wheat, etc. Having a high starch content. Basically, the main ingredient is high starch content. It should be there. In India, ethanol is mainly produced from the sugarcane molasses by fermentation process. In India, ethanol is mainly produced from the sugarcane molasses by fermentation process. Ethanol can be mixed with the gasoline to form different blends. Sugarcane molasses fermentation process, different blends. As the ethanol molecule contains oxygen, it allows the engine to completely combust the fuel, resulting in fewer emissions and thereby reducing the occurrence of environmental pollution. Since ethanol is produced from the plants that harness the power of the sun, ethanol is also considered as a renewable fuel. Ethanol is considered as a renewable fuel. Parliamentary panel report on the 5G. Despite the Department of Telecommunications having submitted a report on the steps to make the India 5G ready as early as 2018, there was very little progress on the ground. Challenges: lack of various approvals around the spectrum, such as uncertainty around the auctions, high reserve price of spectrums, inadequate and poor development of test cases, low reach of optical fiber across India, and deficient backhaul capacity, uncertainty about the auction, and high reserve price of spectrum, inadequate and poor development of the test cases, low reach of the optical fiber cable across India, and deficient backhaul capacity are the major challenges. So what needs to be done? Country must expedite its process approvals and sort out the issues such as spectrum auction, backhaul capacity, price, and user test cases to catch up with other countries which have taken a lead in 5G network deployment. Department of Telecommunications should reach an understanding with the Department of Space and Ministry of Defense at least to earmark the allocation of the spectrum waves. 5G is the next generation of the mobile broadband that will eventually replace 4G LTE or augment the 4G LTE. 5G offers exponentially faster download, multiple speeds, upload speeds, a multi-Gbps peak rate, ultra-low latency, massive capacity, and more uniform user experience. Where does India stand in the 5G technology race? All the three private players like Reliance Jio, Infocom, and Bharati Airtel and VI has been urging the Department of Telecommunication to lay out a clear roadmap of spectrum allocation and 5G frequency bands so that they will be able to plan the rollout of the services accordingly. One big hurdle, however, is the lack of flow of cash and adequate capital with at least two of the three players, namely Bharati Airtel and Vodafone Idea. On the other hand, Reliance Jio plans to launch an indigenously built 5G technology for the country as early as this year. What is the global progress on the 5G? More than the governments, global telecom companies have started building the 5G networks and rolling it out to their customers on their trial basis. The countries like US has already started trial basis. Telecom companies have already started, and in the countries like US, companies like AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon have taken the lead when it comes to the rolling out of the 5G for commercial purposes. AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon. 17 major OTT players adopt self-regulatory toolkit. Internet and Mobile Association of India has announced the adoption of comprehensive implementation toolkit, which is in line with the Universal Self-Regulation Code for online curate content providers (OCCP). Online curate content providers that was put in motion. The toolkit not only aims to set out the guiding principles and code of ethics, it also addresses the feedback received from the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting on the issues of conflict of interest and the prohibited content. What is this self-regulatory code and code of ethics for these online curated content providers? Last year, as many as 15 major OTT platforms in India signed a self-regulation code. The code prohibited 5 types of content, including content which deliberately and maliciously disrespects the national emblem or flag, or any visuals or storylines that promotes child pornography. The objective is to govern their curated streaming content. The aim is to do this by adhering to the disclosures such as specifying the maturity ratings, and content descriptors and maturity ratings. So OTT, over the top media service. Over the top media service is what is OTT? OTT is over the top media service. It is any online content provider that offers streaming media as a standalone product. That is, media streaming is only the product they perform. That is, any media we play on our platform. That is, streaming media is the only product, standalone product. Streaming media is only the standalone product. The term is commonly applied to a video on demand platforms, but also referred to as audio streaming, messaging services, or internet-based voice calling solutions. OTT services circumvent traditional media distribution channels such as telecom communication networks or cable television providers. As long as you have access to internet connection, either locally or through a mobile network, you can access the complete service at your leisure. See, OTT circumvent the traditional media distribution channels such as telecommunication networks or cable TV providers. Why they are gaining popularity? High value content at a low cost, original content like Netflix and Amazon Prime, and compatibility with multiple devices is one of the advantages. What is net neutrality? Okay, net neutrality. Industry body, Cellular Operators Association of India. Cellular Operators Association of India has urged the government to bring down the OTT service providers, like WhatsApp, Google, and Duo under the licensing regime, and differ net neutrality rules on telecom operators till the same services, same rules are applied on the apps. See, Cellular Operators Association of India has urged the government to bring the OTT service providers like WhatsApp and Google Duo, etc. under the licensing regime and differ net neutrality rules on the telecom operators till the time same service, same rules are applied on the apps. What's the issue? Telecom operators have been demanding that the government should impose same service, same rules to provide a level playing field in the sector. But the Telecom TRAI has recommended that no regulations on calling and messaging apps till the time clarity emerges in the international jurisdictions. What has the COAI said? Till the time any decision is taken regarding the licensing of the OTT communication providers, the unequitability between the telecom service providers and the OTTs should not be increased further in any manner. Therefore, till such time, no new licensing conditions, including that of traffic management practices for net neutrality, should be imposed on the TSPs. That is, see, telecom service providers are there, and OTTs should be increased further. That is, unequitability between should be increased further. Till the time any decision taken regarding the licensing of the OTT communication providers. OTT communication providers is here. The unequitability between the telecom service providers and the OTTs should not be increased further in any manner. Therefore, till such a time, no new licensing conditions, including that of traffic management practices for net neutrality, should be imposed on the TSPs. What is net neutrality? It means that the government and the internet service providers treat all data on the internet equally and does not differentiate or charge consumers for higher quality delivery or giving preferential treatment to certain websites. Internet equally. Providers treat all the data, service providers treat all the data and internet equally and does not differentially charge the consumers for higher quality delivering or giving preferential treatment to certain websites. Network neutrality requires all internet service providers to provide same level of data access and speeds to all the traffic, and that the traffic, network neutrality requires all the internet service providers to provide the same level of data access. This is the main thing. Same level of data access and speed to all the traffic, and that traffic to one service or website cannot be blocked or degraded. How net neutrality is treated or regulated in India. The net neutrality principles approved by the Telecom Department in 2018 prohibited internet service providers for discriminating against internet content and services by blocking or throttling according to the preferential higher speeds. So this is